Recruiter here, the Headless Headhunter, to get you ahead of your job search by reviewing your resumes. The resume we have up first is a software engineer intern, and this person has a terrible ratio, which is actually kind of shocking considering they had 3 other roles. So it takes them 150 applications to get a single interview or more. My website caps out at 150, so this is not a great resume. And they said they're mostly applying to front-end development interns, back-end development interns, and other stuff. They're currently doing a co-op, working as a front-end, and planning to add their experience after that. So I did a meter yeet of this, and it was a yeet, although it was a tentative yeet. And part of that was just the formatting was so awful that I couldn't really get through it in the time I had. So remember, we only have 20 seconds to really look through it. But what we're looking for in a software engineer intern is degree, basic knowledge of the tech stack, ability to work well with others, and takes direction and criticism. And this will change for master's interns, and PhD level interns. It's a little bit more that they're looking for, but I think this person is still in a bachelor's. They said advanced diploma, so unless this is an advanced diploma is a master's, I haven't really heard that terminology before, which I know is very weird, but maybe this is from somebody out of the country or something. So assuming this is a bachelor's, what we're looking for is this. If it wasn't a bachelor's and it was a master's, we're going to be looking for PhD. We're going to be looking for more heavy on the skill and less on the work well with others and take direction and criticism. So part of this problem is this is giant. Your formatting is awful. This is how I want your formatting to look like. I don't care if this is for a cashier. This works for marketers. This works for software engineers. This works for accountants. This works for every single person unless you have more jobs than years of experience. You are a high-level manager, director, or VP, or you primarily do contract roles. Unless it's one of those 3, this format will work for you, and I need you to use it. It's so much better. So, it's hard to read. This, I like, but you need this to be a single line, and then you can put this. But you could also put it as like a project or something, but I think this is okay to include. But you should... You actually need to add these 2 together. And the amount of money is not really what we're looking for. It is good that you could say 1-2 hackathons for best innovation and inclusivity. And this, I'm a little confused. This you could say, this one I really like actually is, but it's harder to read, is founded and led the Google development group, but you're kind of bearing the lead. I would say led an 8-member team, which was funded by Google, right? That's all you need to say. The rest of this stuff is great. The inclusive stuff is good, but you don't need to say like the 4,000 or 10,000. You need to say specifically, funded by Google, let a blankety blank, because that's all they need to know. That is impressive. You just wrote it in a way that they're not going to know. So then we get down to here, and the problem is this is way too technical. So is my mouse dying? Sorry. What we're looking for is a basic overview of your tech stack. So full stack, good. Livewire, I don't think I've ever seen. Tailwind, oh boy. I know people are going to rage at me in the comments for this. It's very rare to see Tailwind on a job description. What isn't rare is to see CSS. So from my understanding, Tailwind and CSS could be interchangeable, but you want to put CSS instead of Tailwind. And then Alpine JS, I'm not really looking for. I might be looking for JavaScript, and I know JS stands for JavaScript, except when it doesn't, but sometimes it does. But you need to say more like JavaScript. And then WebSockets I'm not really looking for. And again, I'm not looking for accelerating release of 50%, right? Like, this means nothing. Like, what does accelerated release? Prior sprints is good, but I would say, which we delivered faster than prior sprints. right? You want to make it more basic, because remember, a non-technical person is probably reading your resume, or a manager that you are the 70th resume they've read. Although you do want to apply early. The faster you apply, the better your chances, because that is how ATSs work. Most of them. The most common feature is first come, first serve. So if you are applicant number 750, you may never get seen because we find who we need at applicant number 70. It's usually about 120 is enough to fill a role. So as long as you're before the first 100, you're solid. And then this is, OpenAI is good, but again, you focused on this 80%. Stop using all these percentages and stop bolding everything. Because again, here's my problem with this is I don't see JavaScript. I don't see Python. I don't see, it's full stack, so maybe TypeScript with this instead of Python. I don't see HTML. I don't see CSS. I see Tailwind. I see Alpine JS, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for specifically those basic, boring, very high level stuff, not high level, basic things. All right. And then I'm not looking for necessarily data app. OpenAI will, and I'm not looking for optimization time. You can look at these roles. I don't know if I found a single role that says increased optimization time as a requirement for them to hire you. Built and documented an export user to sync with Google Sheets, enabling real-time access for this means nothing. I don't need this. Again, I actually understand this, but this is not what I'd be looking for. The one time somebody puts Excel in Google Sheets and I'm not actually looking for it. Swift code, maybe. Architecture, yes. But the rest of this, no. This is a bit too incomprehensible. So this actually is a bit needed because this is for like iOS stuff. I think this is for MVVM is like for iOS or Android, one of those. But there's not for the other stuff. And there's still nothing there. And then if you go here, this is actually good. I like how you wrote this. And then project, yeah. So it's like incomprehensible. So normally you would need to do work well with others and takes direction and criticism, but because you have 3 other internships, you can kind of leave that part off. But you need to make this more basic. I want everybody to look in the camera and look me in the eyes. Okay, I want you all to look at me. When you are creating your resume for everybody, this goes for absolutely everybody, not just software engineers. You need to make it very understandable and basic and boring. That is the goal. The resume's purpose is a minimum qualification document. If you try to make it so that it shows how you are better than every other candidate, you will fail. The worst resumes I have seen in my life, besides nursing, because that's a separate issue, are from marketers who are good at their job and graphic designers, because what they do is they try to make it a marketing document or a pretty graphic design document and it fails. Stop trying to show you're better than others through your resume. That is not what a resume is for. If you do that, you fail. In the interview, that is where you show you're better than everybody else. You do need to do that in the interview. But the resume, if you try to make it look like this, you can fail. And I think even because of that, you can see is that the stuff earlier had less of the brags, which is slightly better. Like, this is written pretty well, most of this. So stop trying to show that you're better than every other candidate through the resume. That is the purpose of the interview. If you do that, you'll fail. And this is not somebody that's like failed or anything, but they're currently at 150 plus. And what probably happened is they've got now some experience under their belt. They got this, and then they started putting it all down. And the problem was what we really wanted is down here, which is much better, which is a, using OpenCV, which I don't care about, API, React, Tailwind, CSS, and WebSockets. So you need to make it better. Like, yes, I'm not looking for these qualifications exactly, but this is how you would write it more. And you got so caught up with showing how good you are that you failed, because you cannot show how good you are in a resume. They're not built for it. They're not. They are minimum qualification documents, and any single time you use them to try to brag, except for sales, you fail. It's what's going to happen. So I need you to re-go through all of this. In fact, maybe redo all of it. And I need you to make it simpler. I need you to make it basic. I need you to show the very bare minimum requirements, because that is the purpose of a resume. And that's all I can do with this one. If you need more help, you can always check out my live stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Twitch at twitch.tv/headlessheadhunter at 11 a.m. PST till whenever I stop streaming, usually 3 to 4 hours. And that's where I get these qualifications. That's where I help you out more than just reviewing resumes. I can give other like interview tips and tricks and all that good stuff that I can't really fit into a YouTube video. But please like, comment, and subscribe. Helps me out. Let's go to the next resume. And you can debate me if you want in the comments. I'm always down for a good debate. Let's go to the next resume. This is a resume review of an embedded software engineer. So with the full disclosure that I think I've only recruited one of these like 5 years ago or something. What we're looking for in an embedded software engineer is your degree. We want to see C, C++, C#, any of those. Weirdly enough, they just said C, so it could just be C. Python was in a ton of them. RTOS, I don't actually know what that stands for, but they had RTOS in a lot of them. This was in some of them, so microcontrollers, microprocessors, embedded operating systems, so... Sorry, that may be a nice to have or in a bonus section. But Agile was in a bunch of them. ISO, this is ISO. I cannot list all the ISOs. If you have any of the ISOs, we want to see them. Doors, I saw in 1 or 2. ARM microprocessors, again, 1 or 2. But Git, I saw in a bunch. So Git is, in fact, I'm going to move the Git up over here. That is where Git should be. Again, the order is not normally the important part, but... Hardware interfaces and protocols, this was big. I saw these in most of them. So SPI, I2C, UART, TCP, and IP. Those are big. And bonuses for PLC, security clearance, cross-functional, and full stack. Whew, that's a lot. I don't know if I can do this in 20 seconds because, again, this is not something I've done often. But they said they were graduating. They graduated in May. They've been job hunting for a couple of months. The resume I sent is a newer version, and I guess their previous version, they have applied to over 300 jobs and maybe gotten 3 to 4 responses, which is not great, but for a entry level, it's not the worst. But no, because of the industry and embedded software engineers are kind of rare, it's not a terrible market. That actually is not great. So I am expecting this to not be a good resume, or at least the previous version. This is a newer version. And they say they think your lack of internship experience is really hurting my resume. I would appreciate your help. Well, I am here to give it. So, can I find this in 20 seconds? Probably not. I think the recruiter would probably have more than 20 seconds for this one because there's just a lack of applicants. But let's see. No. Again, nothing there counts. Bachelor's good. Projects. C++ good. I2C I do like. Python, that's 3. Nothing else. Git is good. C, Linux. Again, I'm giving them a little bit more time because I think they would. Linux is nice and nothing else. Okay, so I actually was able to get down to here, and I think for this type of industry, they would be able to get down to there, and you did not have enough experience to move forward. You were close, but you didn't have enough. So the problem here is I think what you think they're looking for versus what they're actually looking for. So this is what they seem to be looking for. And again, you don't need all of this, but I would say the most important parts that you would want is the top 3 for sure. But I don't think I saw any RTOS. Did I see any RTOS? I didn't. There's no RTOS. That was in a lot of them. Agile, no. Although, admittedly, as an entry level, you may not have it. ISO, nope, no ISO. Doors, nope, no doors. ARM, no. Micro... No, I do not see it because, again, nothing in your summary counts. Nothing here counts. Does not count. If you do not put it under a job, an internship, or a project, it doesn't count. You cannot have stuff floating up here in a summary. It doesn't count. If I sent that to the hiring manager and I saw microcontrollers here and nothing else in the resume, they would send you back with a decline. So nothing here counts. And as it seems like you are a U.S. citizen and you are not looking to relocate, nor are you changing industries, you should not even have a summary. I don't know why everybody wants to put a summary. They are largely worthless unless, again, the 3 that I mentioned, you are changing industries, relocating, or have a visa you need to explain. So this can be safely deleted. Then we go down to here, which formatting is slightly off, not a huge deal. Again, you want it, there is no real gap between those. Developed an embedded C++, good. Firmware could be good. For Arduino mega boards, no. For voltages, maybe. For electrical, but I didn't see it. Via ADC and transmit data over I2C. I care about I2C, but that's it. So this is not the worst sentence, but it's not great. Python is good, but nothing else I really care about. Git is good, but remember, like, I don't see any RTOS. I don't see any doors or ARM or microprocessors. When you have it up here, you have microcontrollers. I don't see it down there. So let me actually move that because it's doubled up. I only see one I2C, which admittedly is good, but I don't see any TCP or IP, and I don't see any of the bonus stuff either. The problem is I only really found your, like, Python, Git, C, and your degree, and one of these. But, like, I don't see any of the others. And that's part of the problem, because, again, you mention it here, but you don't have it anywhere else. I'm searching the resume. I'm using Control F. I cannot find it. So it's not like it's the worst resume ever, because, again, you are getting 1 in 100. But part of the reason is, you know, we're not really caring necessarily about Arduino mega boards, at least for the embedded. Maybe for systems they will. I only looked at embedded. But, and the fact is, you have GitHub is good down here. You have I2C twice. You just don't have enough. And that's kind of the problem. You have like 40% of what I'm looking for. Where did you use the microcontrollers? I need to know. Did you do any ISO? Where did you do UART? Because that is something I'm looking for. Where did you do SP? In fact, I didn't even see this. Where is this in your resume? Only there. Where is this in your resume? Only, nope, there's one more place, all the way down here on the second page. So first off, what I need is here, but again, I cannot count anything here. I wish I could. I really wish a skills section worked. I wish a professional summary is where you could put all this stuff, and I'd be like, cool, that's what I need. But any single time you send that to the hiring manager, they will send it right back at you because it's not in that. So this is what I need, but you need to show me here. And again, you only have the I2C. I need to see the other stuff. Where is your ISO? You need to have ISO. Where is your RTOS? That was huge. So you have made the assumption that what I am looking for is this stuff and that polling management and CSV data, but I'm not. I really want to see, like, built a blank using Python and microcontrollers and RTOS that displayed real-time voltage display. And voltage may be one for, like, electrical engineering. So you just don't quite have enough. You have about 40%. And the more I've done this and the more I've started to calculate the ratios that people have, if you're getting a 1 in 100, it's probably you probably only have about 40 to 50% of what they need when you really do need 75%. So I need to move it from 50% of what I need to 75% because that is what is missing. Once you get that, you're going to start getting more interviews because you can never say it here. Nothing here counts. Nothing here counts. I wish it did. It would be so much easier for everybody involved, but it doesn't. Managers will reject it. And remember, I'm trying to give you advice from both a recruiting and HM perspective because if I gave you advice for one, it wouldn't matter if the other one is. So that's why some recruiters say you need a skills section, is because they think it's good, but guess what? You have to get through the hiring manager as well, and the managers mostly don't like it. So you need to have this below. That's all I can do with this one. Let's go to the next resume. This is a resume of a Canadian full-stack software engineer. So for Canada, what we're going to be looking for specifically is a little bit different than the EU and the US. Mostly the same, but there's a little bit differences. Is going to be TypeScript, Python, JavaScript, CSS, HTML. The same. Node, Angular, Next.js, MongoDB. SQL, React, APIs, probably RESTful APIs specifically. REST, which I wrote that backwards, my dyslexia. And GraphQL. I swear every single person puts GraphQL, and I have not seen it in a job posting ever, except I guess full stack in Canada. So you should probably have GraphQL, which I can hear the thundering roars of people because I told them not to put it in because, again, that was in the US. So I also keep updating these, by the way, like every 3 months or 2 months I update these because what they're looking for may change. So cloud, agile, CI/CD, cross-functionally, and this part is probably in the US as well, but DevOps and AI/LLM starting to be where you may want those in other resumes as well. I have to double check and confirm on my next full stack US one, but and architecture and extra language. So this person, let's see, they are in chat. There's a lot of people in chat today. Said this is the same resume reviewed a while back, just with a new position, which I believe I got them a job based on that one. And they were at 5 months before layoff, which absolutely stinks, but it's always better to be laid off than fired because laid off implies it's not your fault. Fired is you messed up. Laid off is specifically the company messed up. So those two terms mean something very different, and a lot of people don't understand the difference. Sometimes people say, oh, I was fired when they were actually laid off, and there is a big difference between the two. So, all right, they have been a data engineer / full stack, so it's not fully full stack tailored. And honestly, what I would do with that is just keep only the full stack stuff. That's what I would recommend. But let's see what this goes for. So, away we go. Can I find it in 20 seconds? Let's see. All right. ETL, no. SQL, yes. CSS, Angular, TypeScript, good. Flask, Node, RESTful APIs, good. Azure, CI/CD, perfect. Data pipelines, no. Architected, good. Angular, RESTful with Python. Yeah, this is I'm using Python. Am I missing anything here? I am missing GraphQL, and that hurts to say. But everything else I have. Again, my big concern is that you should probably split this off. Like, I know you want to show you were also a data engineer, but it's okay to just leave off the data engineer part. But no, you basically have stuff I have. I think I could move you forward. Again, I would prefer your formatting look like this, even if it's slightly longer than a page, because it's easier to read. And again, my big concern would be because it is the data engineer first, and somebody is not as knowledgeable in tech as they may miss it, and you start off with stuff I'm not looking for, so their eyes may gloss over. But overall, this is not terrible. You have most of what I need. I am concerned with the data engineer. Because you previously told me during the note that it is both. If I was reviewing this fresh, it's possible I could have missed it. So I would very much recommend removing the data engineer part, or alternatively moving all of the stuff like ETL and Airflow and Google BigQuery down at the bottom and start off with your tech stack. Because this is great. It's just, this is your second sentence. If anything, flip this to your first one. And then this is also a great sentence. It's just, again, they may not get here because of the formatting, or their eyes may skip over it because it's so off in the corner. So I would just move all of the data engineering stuff down here and refocus some of these. You just have to move the words around a little bit because they may miss the Azure and GCP, which they probably won't, but just in case. So fix the formatting a little bit. Make it a little more full stack based than data engineer. And again, it's okay to leave it out if they ask. You see, I was also a data engineer at the same time. I just didn't think it was relevant, which is okay to put during the interview. But again, it is a good resume. I think this will get you positions. It's just the data engineer part is probably going to lower from maybe like a 1 in 30, 1 in 20 to maybe a 1 in 40, 1 in 45. But the rest of this is solid. Like, I don't actually even need to go past here because I have basically everything I want, except for GraphQL, which hurts to say. So, I probably told you to leave that out last time, but apparently now it's necessary in Canada, so maybe put one in with that as well. But otherwise, it's pretty good. You also do mention, I think, Azure and GCP twice, but they like that. So, overall good. Nitpicky I'm being, but overall good. Apparently, I'm sounding like Yoda. Yoda, I am recruiter. Anyway, let's go to the next resume. No one heard that. This is a resume of a cloud engineer in Canada. I forgot this is Canadian again. So this also is Canada, which I would like to visit again. I visited there a very long time ago. So what we're looking for is 1,000 different things for a cloud engineer. Oh boy, 1,020 different things. So you don't need all of this. I don't want you to panic and think you need all of this. Again, you still need about 75%, although you are international. So again, you will want a little summary up at the top about how they can work with your visa real quick. No more than a sentence, because I do not know Canadian visa rules. Could be very easy, could be very difficult. I have no idea, and it's possible the recruiters don't either. So, your degree, any certs you have, cloud, any of them. Again, this is where it's going to start to get a little iffy, depending on which one of the clouds you have. Kubernetes, Docker, SQL, Jira, and Git were in most of them. Then I do want CI/CD. So again, GitHub Actions, Azure DevOps, Jenkins, APIs, WebSockets was in a couple. Conveying technical stuff to non-technical people is huge. And then the last couple of lines could maybe want, which is going to be like IaaS, PaaS, IAM, VNet, VPC, Python, PowerShell, Bash, networking fundamentals, firewall, VPN, Active Directory. And again, there's probably a couple of others because the difference between AWS and Azure, they're going to have some different qualifications, and I cannot look at all of them. So first off, your formatting is not awful, but not great. I want you to use this formatting. Second, as you are international, you will need to explain how to use your visa. I don't know what it is in Canada, but they may not know, so you need to do a very brief sentence that just says, like, as I'm on an X, you can work with me without doing Y or whatever. So, and then we go into the actual stuff. Also, you have 100 to 1, which normally would not be terrible for an international entry-level student. The problem is there's just not a ton of these roles available. I think there were like 300 or 400 in Canada alone, which is just not enough. And if you apply to like half of the jobs in the country and you only get one interview, that's a bit of a problem. So, insured business continuity. Well, where's your education? First off, your education needs to be there up front and center. All right, where is it? All the way at the bottom? I don't even see it. Here it is. Missed it. So, this should be up at the top. And again, you can just say, so here's what you want to do. Your degree should be up top, and then you can just say either status graduated or the month and year you graduated. Then you put this below it. Is this a good GPA? Yes, but this should all be able to fit into one line. And then it should be up at the top. So again, this is going to be your education and cert sections. Your degree is first, and then because you're still in progress for the cert, you put the cert below it. You should be able to fit that in 2 lines. Now, ensured business continuity with consistent uptime of 99% by providing Tier 3 support. Using Azure Services scripting with PowerShell to proactively troubleshoot and resolve high-priority global... This is not a sentence I want. So, you have way overdone it on the technical details. Like, if you look at these roles, and again, I just did, they're not asking, like, can you maintain 99% uptime? I don't think there's a single role that says it. All they're looking for is that you've used the tools and skills they've done. So in this case, it's most of those. And you should be able to look it up and find a slightly better list because, again, this is going to be dependent upon the stack. But they are looking for... In fact, if you just said used Azure and PowerShell to troubleshoot priority incidents and outages, that would be an infinitively better sentence. Enhanced? What do you mean enhanced? Everybody says enhanced. I don't know where everybody got that word from, but it's lost all meaning to me as a recruiter. What do you mean enhanced? How did you enhance it? Did you put like a superstar from Nintendo on it and went doo 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 doo? That was not the song at all Mario uses when he gets a power star, or Sonic, Supersonic, or whatever. Like, what does it mean enhanced? Did you zoom in? You don't tell me. In network performance, I might want network performance. When I want network performance, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this one in 20 seconds. I don't know enough about this industry, and my qualifications list, if I was doing this directly with the manager, would be way better, so I could not do this in 20 seconds. Yeah, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for, like, firewalls. Maintaining load balancers. I might have seen loaded DNS. I don't know if I saw DNS or not. And ensuring via TCP and IP. I don't know if I saw that either. Improved operational efficiency by reducing cutover errors by 20%. No, that means nothing. I'm sure it means a lot. I'm sure you spend a lot of time on that, and it's actually very impressive. But I don't have any context for that. It doesn't mean anything. You know what I want to see? Develop testing with CI/CD pipelines using Azure DevOps and Git. To automate infrastructure and application for PaaS, which might be something, and containerized MCC solutions. This is great. You basically, I'm going to use a food metaphor, and it would be like having an amazing hamburger. It looks like it's cooked to perfection. And then the person that's cooking it is like, oh, wait, before I give it to you. And then they just dump a gallon of mustard and ketchup on it. I like mustard and ketchup on my burger. I don't want a gallon of it on it. This part is good. This is mustard and ketchup, 1,000 gallons of it. Again, this is 1,000 gallons of it. Not the Azure part, not the PowerShell, but then the other part is good. Straighten the security posture, compliance. Compliance is something I'm looking for. I don't know. By performing critical administrative tasks, including serving the lifecycle. I'm not looking for this. I'm looking for this. Actually, maybe not SQL. I didn't see SQL. Grafana, I might have seen. Azure Monitor, I probably did see. ISO is good. Yeah, you basically just fill what I want all the way at the bottom. You're drowning the burger in ketchup and mustard. So that's your main problem. This might be needed again. So look at the qualifications. It's a big list, I will admit, but they're not looking for consistent uptime or cut over errors. I understand everybody adds these percentages. They make them worse. It's very difficult to put a percentage in your resume that actually works when we're reading it. So that's about all I can do for this. They are also in chat. I'm going to help them out as best I can for this. And we're going to go to the next resume. Like, everybody's in chat today. Pretty happy with it. Next resume. This is a resume of an iOS engineer. This person says they've been trying to get interviews. They've got... they've gotten? I'm confused about how they wrote this. I think they say they're trying to get interviews from TikTok, Amazon, PayPal, but they get a lot of they get rejected where they think their experience matches the job description. They don't know what to improve, looking forward to your interview. So first off, apply early. You will probably have to apply in the first 10 minutes to even get seen at that section. And if you also want to know, like, a recruiter that does work at Amazon, again, I am a tech recruiter. I have placed people at Fortune 500 companies. Want to be clear, not worked in FANG or whatever it's called now. There's Amy Miller. She's also a recruiter that gives some of the advice that is sort of like this. She doesn't do resume reviews, but if you want to know, like, specifically how the internal Amazon hiring process goes, go to Amy Miller. It's Recruiting in Yoga Pants, I think. So anyway, what we're looking for is for an iOS engineer. This is a slightly outdated one, so double check this. Again, my guide shows you how to find these qualifications. iOS, ignore the senior. iOS, Swift, Objective-C, Swift UI, REST API, REST, React, mobile architectures, HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, React, TypeScript, Git, Agile, CI/CD, Cloud, and these, which is it was iOS, not Android. Okay, I mixed them up. MVVM and MVC. These are big. All right, I know they're at the very bottom, but those are pretty important. You want to put those on. So let's see if this resume is actually does have the qualifications. I will try to find it in 20 seconds. And as this list is slightly outdated, I'm going to say maybe 65% instead of the normal 75%. So this is an abomination. Oh God, I hate all of that. All right. So first off, delete that. Oh God. Okay. Core ML accuracy. What is this? Here's MVVM. Okay. Modular, Apple Vision Framework, cosmetic, X-Tech, crash-free, 92 to 99%. No, this has nothing. What is this? What is this? This is an abomination. This is an abomination of a resume. And I'm not saying that, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, like, don't write it like this. I am tired. I am telling you, your recruiter is tired. They don't have one role. I think there's a misconception about what recruiters do. There's a big one. First off, reviewing resumes is like 20% of our job. That's it. Like, actually, it's 1/5 of our job. The rest of it is more. And when we review resumes, we're reviewing it for all of our roles. So we're not just working on this in, again, this is not a real role. This is, for example, an iOS engineer. We're working for maybe 10 iOS engineers across different states at different levels of seniority, along with different roles in general. Like, they may be working on 5 iOS engineers, a full stack dev, a marketing role, and a managerial role, and a data science role. On average, an internal recruiter has 35 to 75 other roles. That is their average, even if they fill them very fast. That is their average, 35 to 75. Depends on the which type of difficulty they are, but that's about it. So we are not looking at one role. We are looking at all of them. And when you write a resume like this, you are going to break their puny little minds. Because First off, your formatting is awful. This is why this is good, because we do it in volume. When you recruit in volume, things get weird. And that is why you want it to look boring and basic. That is why it is best to have a resume that isn't only based on a minimum qualification. Because again, like if it was a singular resume, if I was just reviewing this, yeah, I could probably find what I need. But they're not. They get 15 to 20 seconds, possibly in different industries. It's a nightmare. So don't do this, okay? Burn this resume and start again. Because not just the formatting. Again, your formatting should look like this. This is the only things that should be blue are the hyperlinks up at the top. Is that this doesn't count. Again, technical section. You have like none of the qualifications. You stated you think you're very qualified. I see none of them. The only thing I found was MVVM. And maybe Swift. Yeah, Swift. Is there anything else? No, I don't. Because you focused entirely on how you did stuff impressive, right? That is the theme of this episode, is try not to be impressive during this. Now, when you're in the interview with the hiring manager, yeah, you can talk to them about 92% accuracy and 500 students and 92% to 99, because you know what? They can ask a follow-up question of, bro, what does that mean? And then you can answer and they'll be like, oh, okay, that's related. But even if they're reading it, there's no context. Authored unit test using XC test boosting crash-free users from 92 to 99. Is anybody asking for that? And I'm not trying to be mean to you. I'm doing this to get a point because this stinks. You said, I think you were, I don't know if you're international or not, but you have a harder time. Also, you don't need to tell me when you started, just that you graduated. That's all. Your resume has to be so much better. And it's horrible to not have a job. People say like, oh, nobody knows what searching for jobs like. I do. It's a nightmare. I was in y'all's situation before I knew how to make a resume. You know, a while ago. I keep updated in case ever like anybody else needs to do it. That's why I'm here to help. But like, you're not going to do it with this. This is not what they're looking for. They're not looking for 28% on-demand resource and ad set, cut hot launch time by 20% with lazy loading. They're looking for JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Yes, even Amazon, even Google, all of those companies, look at the actual qualifications. They're not telling you that they're optimizing memory footprint by 35% using Xcode, enhancing performance on low-end devices. They're saying, bro, have you used Swift? iOS development, cloud? That's what they're looking for. You cannot make a resume that is not beyond the minimum qualifications. Anytime a resume is not showing your minimum qualifications, it is failing, and it is the minimum. The interview is where you show you're better than others. And I'm not trying to pick on you. I want to be very clear. This is why you're failing. Because you stated directly that you meet the qualifications. It matches the job descriptions. That did not match a single job description I saw. Practically nothing here. None of them are asking for 40% presented at IEEE BHI 2025 at Georgia Tech. Nobody's asking for that. Nobody's asking for scoliosis detection app. So please, 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 please. Look at the job descriptions. You can look at 10 to 15 of them. That's what my guide says. It's on the website next to the template. Look at 10 to 15 roles that you know you qualify for, and look at what's actually under the qualifications, the need to haves. Not the nice to haves, not the what you'll do, but what you need to do. The qualifications, the needed, the must haves. Because it's not this. None of this besides, again, Swift and MVVM. I don't think I see a single cloud. And again, doesn't count. Can't be here. Does not count. Skill sections don't count. Nothing here matters. Not solid principles. Not QA UAT. Did I miss it? Again, I don't think I did. iOS. Here we go. This is actually the first time I've seen iOS here. In fact, I don't even think they know you are an iOS developer because you put... I mean, they see iOS here, but they don't see it here. So yeah, you gotta read those job descriptions and then make an aggregate resume based on those. You use that resume to mass apply. Because this, you said you meet the qualifications. I don't see any of them. Except those two. And you need 75% to move forward. If you're an international, you might need 85 or 90%. and I just don't see it. So I'm not even counting like Google or Facebook or Apple. I'm talking like Bob's accounting store down the street you get rejected for. You gotta look at those job descriptions and use those as your guide to making a resume, and then use that to mass apply to those job titles. So that's important. Now let's go to the next resume. This is a resume of a software engineer intern, and we do not know their ratio. They wrote me a big paragraph, so I'm going to read it now to y'all. They started applying earlier this month. Okay, that's actually not enough time to know if you've got anything or not. And they haven't gotten any attention. Also, I want to state that phone number is fake. That is not a real number. That is 1234567 I thought it was real at first. So they've applied to maybe 50 to 100 applications this intern season. That is not enough. You may need to apply to 30 to 50 a week. Not even in a month. I've revamped my resume significantly after watching some of your content. Good. So that's what I've attached above. I didn't realize how bad my previous resume was until I was called for a resume screen, and the recruiter HR dude literally straight up told me that I'd probably be better for an ML AI role than SWE. Yep. That is a good wake-up call. Good that it got you an interview, though. Honestly, keep that for an ML intern if it worked. So I removed my current research role, added more previous intern roles, emphasized the cloud and software tech. I'm not sure if I'm hitting some of the collaboration works well that are on the list. You have, so real quick, you have 3 other internships. It's kind of a feast or famine for internships. If you show you've done other internships before, it kind of implies you can work well, so you may not need those as much. But I think the tech skills are not better. Let me know. Would love to have more feedback. So first off, I would keep part of that other resume, where again, split off into 2, apply to both SWE roles and ML roles. You can have multiple resumes. I recommend it. But let's see. So again, we're going to need takes direction, criticism, ability to work well with others, although you have 3 internships, so you might not need that as much, and your degree, and all that other good basic knowledge of the tech stack. And this is for a... Okay, you're doing a master's and a bachelor's. So if you're doing a master's and a bachelor's, that you might need more tech than normal, because master's level interns are a little bit more technical. But let's see what we can do after 20 seconds real quick. So, all right, go. All right, this, again, that's too big. Led to development of a cloud-native REST API with Python, Fast API, Docker. Good. To create Microsoft backend enabling tech integration, collaborate with cross-functional teams. Fantastic. Constructed TypeScript React to upload training into interface, resulting in secure AI inference calls. Kind of heavy on the AI, and I need SQL. Python-backed AI. Yeah, so, might actually pass this. Your first sentence alone was fantastic. This is how I want people to write it. So first off, I want you to remember is, even if your resume is perfect, if you do not apply early enough, you're not going to get seen. ATSs, despite what people think, they sort you on a first come, first serve basis. That is like 99% of them do that. So if you are applicant number 200 and they find the intern they need at applicant 130, you will not get seen. So first off, apply early. Second off, your formatting is off. It's okay to have the GitHub over here and the LinkedIn. That's fine. Not a big deal. This you don't want to put, so you want to delete this, but you need to move it to this format. Part of the problem with this is it's not that the resume is bad. I think it's actually pretty solid. It's that it's harder to read. And remember, this is why I put Arial. Do I think Arial is the prettiest font? No, it's a hideous font. Of course it's hideous. But it's a dyslexic-friendly font. Same with Calibri and whatever. So this was made with ease of reading in mind. And that is why you want to do this. It's possible they could miss stuff because of all of like the little lines under here, the lines under here, because it is not dyslexic friendly. Again, I am dyslexic and there are plenty of other recruiters that are. But when you make it for a dyslexic recruiter, you make it easier for a non-dyslexic recruiter. Also, I'm getting a phone call. It is a scam. I can ignore it. That was a scam. I can ignore it. So you want to make it Arial font. That's why. And you don't want these little line things over here, under it. So make it clearer, make it a little bit here. Maybe that is Arial, but and I like this. Now this I also like. The problem is I think you went a little too technical with this part. So I don't want this under maybe a project. And the fact is, if they don't get to it, that's okay, because you have what I need here. But it's possible they read all of this and then maybe this and then they miss it. But I actually don't think this is bad. I just think its legibility needs to be a little bit better. Like, is this Arial? I can't tell. I actually wonder what font you use for this. But it's a little harder to read than normal. It should be 10.5. Because this looks a little bit easier to read than this. But maybe this is just me after, what time is it? 4 hours of streaming and looking at resumes, and I did some earlier and I have to do some later. So your mind can break after that. But the problem is this is off. This should just be one line. This should be one line. I don't know if the order between these really matters or not, so that's okay. And then we can go to this, which I do like. Again, I really like this. I would like SQL. I think you are missing SQL. Again, I know it's basic, but you do want it. We have, and I would start with Python instead of REST. Again, this is minor quibble. So I would say like used Python, REST APIs, Fast APIs, Docker, and on AWS, and then you put EC2 Lambda to create microservices backend. So that is a very good sentence. Like, you have enough here that maybe you could get an interview alone, as long as you apply fast. So then TypeScript, React, don't put these little things here. I know I do them up top sometimes, but make it a comma. It's just easier to read. So TypeScript and React, or TypeScript, React, and maybe one other thing. Securing AI inference calls, and then you could put using PyTorch, comma, Hugging Face. Get. You already mentioned Python here up top, so you don't need to double it up. So remember, the real quick rule is you want to mention the same qualification multiple times, but not in the same role. So Python here and Python here, no. Python here and Python here, good. That's how you show years of experience. So JavaScript, again, don't use the slashes, use the commas. I think this is good. It's just there's so much here they might miss it. So overall, good, but you're going to have to apply to more stuff as well. Remember, like, internships are highly competitive. You got to be fast. And even a very good internship resume may get 1 in 25. So we don't know how good this is yet because, again, it can take a couple of weeks for people to get back to you. But I imagine this is going to get you maybe 1 in 50, 1 in 60. If you add SQL and make it easier to read and make it look closer to this, I'm pretty sure you're going to get like a 1 in 25, 1 in 20, give or take. So I think this will be good. But you try to fit too much stuff in. So remember, delete this, maybe fix the font. I don't know. I can't tell if this is off or not. It's just a little harder than normal to read, but not by much. And I think you're going to be golden. So that's all I can do for this resume, and that is it for this video. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. If you ever need more help, you can stop by my live stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. till whenever. Sometimes 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours. 11 a.m. PST on twitch.com/headless headhunter, twitch.com/whatever. It's in the link below. You can find it. You can also ask me and I'll link it too. Whatever. And, like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I will see you in the next video to get you ahead of your job search.